Hey guys, welcome back to Project Bodybuilding. It's that time of year again. We are a week out from the Mr. Olympia, and you know what that means. It's time for the always futile attempt at predicting the placings for the Mr. Olympia. This is always a little fun, and of course somehow controversial, even though they're just guesses at the end of the day. Our opinions are sure to vary, so of course let me know your thoughts on my predictions, and let me know your predictions down in the comment section. Let's not waste any more time though. Let's go ahead and jump into my top 10 predictions for the 2023 Classic Physique Olympia. For my classic predictions, I do have 3 honorable mentions before I get into the top 10. These are guys that I think could probably place top 10 or most likely not going to, but I still wanted to highlight them. One of those guys is Gabriel Zancanelli. He placed 13th last year. He's got a great structure. He is more in line with a C-bum type of physique. I think he just needs some more overall size because honestly, with a structure like that, the judges should have been placing him higher. The other guy I want to highlight is Laszlo. He's a new guy and this is going to be his first Olympia. He's been making his rounds on Instagram mainly, and it's really because of that insane V taper. Yeah, it's pretty good up top, but I think the legs and the back will hold him back from placing higher. And the final physique I want to highlight before we get into the actual top 10 is Diego Galindo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right because this dude has absolutely one of my favorite new physiques. This will also be his first Olympia, but like I said, he's already one of my favorites. Honestly, his physique is very unique. It's kind of hard to describe. He has insanely small joints and shorter muscle bellies, and this is on a very tall frame, and he has some very long limbs, obviously. So he kind of looks a little thin in some areas by having these insane peaky muscle bellies, like those biceps are huge, but don't really fill out the upper arm, for example. So yeah, he may be on the thinner side and may not be as muscular, but I still think he's hella classic. And the thing I like most about him is his posing. This guy can pose. Now let's get into the actual top 10, starting with, of course, 10th place, Michael DeBole. Michael has great conditioning and good muscularity for someone in this division, but he is lacking a little bit in the classic elements. He will be improved though for sure. He already was improved at his 2 shows that he did earlier this year, the Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro. He continues to get bigger even while keeping that insane condition. I can maybe see him placing a little higher. I see him in the 10 to 8th spot range because all the next couple of guys aren't that classic either. So if they're off, Michael can definitely move up based on condition since he's not competing with the most aesthetic guys back here in this kind of 10 to 8 spot range. In my 9th place spot, I have a fan favorite, Wesley Vissers. Yeah, in my predictions list, he will be placing lower than last year. He placed 8th last year, he's 9th in my predictions. But given a certain placing he took in Dubai, and a hot take I have for this video, it just worked out that he's 9th place. I can't say I'm not 100% not confident with this because I don't think the judges like Wesley's classic version that much. For example, in that Dubai Pro show I just mentioned, he placed behind Fabio Junio. Fabio was not as classic as Wesley and probably too developed for classic. But the judges, some of the same ones that will be at the Olympia mind you, unanimously had Fabio in 2nd ahead of Wesley. That's really the 2 things I'm going off of here. The fact that the judges have never really given Wesley that much props, even though he's a great classic competitor, and the subsequent placing they gave him last month. For some reason, they always just give Wesley the shaft. Coming in 8th, we have Fabio Junio. I think this is a good place for someone like Fabio. He is a bit of an anomaly. He's extremely developed for this division and isn't the most classic guy. I personally do think the judges won't like him that much, but I do have him placing ahead of some of these other guys. I think they will have him ahead of Michael just on sheer development, and he already beat Wesley once, so I think he can do it again. But other than that, I have a sneaking suspicion that the judges aren't going to like Fabio's physique that much more. But with that said, he still brings some classic elements, and the overdevelopment does help in some poses, like the back pose where he is phenomenal. In 7th place, we have my hot take of the video for sure. We have Alex Combernero. Alex has been a mainstay in the classic division for years. He's won the Arnold Classic once, the Masters Olympia this year, and has had several top 6 finishes at the Olympia. He literally beat the guy in front of him in 6th place on this list at the Arnold this year. So with all of his accolades and his recent victory, why is he not higher? Why do I even have him this high at all? I consider 2 things. 1, he has 7 more pounds to work with now. He's one of those shorter guys that got a lot of new weight to work with within their weight caps. Yes, he is over 40, but he doesn't ever look tired. I think he's still pretty fresh, and I think he has multiple years left before retiring. So I actually think he can utilize those new 7 pounds pretty efficiently. This is juxtaposed, however, with the recent Masters Olympia appearance I mentioned. This is really the first time I've seen him off. This guy is always consistent. He clearly knows what he's doing, having competed for so long. But his Masters Olympia appearance package was definitely less condition than what we're used to, especially in the legs and from the rear. Now, I don't think this is a start of a total decline. I see it more of a trial run for him and his coach, Neil Hill. They probably went into the show thinking, we just did the Arnold in spring, we have the Olympia coming up in the fall, and we are by far the best name going into the Masters Olympia in the Classic Physique division. So I really think this was a case of them just trying to coast into this one. Could I be wrong? Sure. But Alex and Neil know what they're doing, and they wouldn't come in off like this. So I average the fact that Alex has more stage weight to utilize with the fact that he could have been off at his last show, and with those two things, I'm placing him pretty high in 7th. Rounding out the back half of my top 10, we have Mike Sommerfeld. I think Mike is going to move down a place due to 2 guys being rejuvenated. Mike will be better, but all the guys ahead of him, I feel they've already demonstrated that they will be better because they competed this season and have looked better, or they already have a better starting point, and I assume that they are going to get better, all while having more classic flair. Sure, Mike's got a lot of size, don't get me wrong, and the upper body is so wide it's incredible, but he did just get beat by Alex at this Arnold. I think Mike is more fresh and has the ability to make more significant change, so I'll put him around top 6, but not too much higher. I feel a little bit more confident about my top 5. I think we kind of enter a new tier of competition once you get into that top 5 or 6 realm, and really based on everyone's predictions I've seen so far, we all have a very similar top 5, just with the placing slightly switched around. But you're going to be seeing a lot of the same names in everybody's top 5s. Now, starting my top 5 off, we have Breon Ainsley. I'm confident Breon will be better than last year, but he's still moving back 1 place. I do think his floor is pretty high though. With that said, I don't see him placing outside of the top 6. He's pretty complete, pretty consistent, and it does help that he's a 2-time champ, let's be honest. Now the problem is not Breon's upper body. Even last year, he can win a lot of the poses with that upper body. It's the legs that are his problem. He's getting older and he's had to sacrifice leg size every year by cutting down for this classic weight cap. But now he has some more pounds to play with. 7 more pounds. And I do think you can see that the legs are getting much fuller, as well as the rest of the physique. He just seems to have more life and pop to him. Really though, I don't think it's that much, and you have to think they're not going to get much bigger as he approaches the Olympia. The opposite is way more likely. I just think with his age, he's over 40 mind you, adding serious leg size will be almost impossible, even if he had an unlimited weight cap. Like I said though, he's still pretty complete, especially in the waist up, and I do expect a slightly better and fuller Breon at this year's Olympia. But hey, even when Breon was still fresh, at least fresher, he was still getting beat by my 4th place, Terrence Ruffin. Terrence is the perfect middle ground for bodybuilding and classic. Really, everyone before this kind of tier of competition had too much of one thing. But Terrence is complete and has the lines. Nothing jumps out at you in his physique, but sometimes that's okay because nothing is a huge detractor on his physique. I think he's going to be one of these guys that are rejuvenated from last year. We've already seen that in Dubai and especially the Legion show. He seems to have that freshness and pop back to his physique. And that freshness will help him overcome the 6th place that he got last year. Now going into the top 3, I feel like we get another new tier of competition, and to start that new tier off, I have a very controversial pick, Ramon Dino. Look, there's a lot of pros to his physique. He has a great back, he has great conditioning, but honestly, there are a lot of flaws. I don't think he fits the mold of classic as much as the next 2 guys do. Another big flaw is that he cannot pose to save his life. I cringe every time I watch him. He's my favorite physique on the stage, I will fully admit that, but he cannot present it to save his life. And objectively, that holds him back. He has a solid physique. Like I said, he is my absolute favorite physique on the stage. But I think these 2 guys in front of him are going to be improved or are already just miles ahead of everybody else. And in 2nd place, I have Urs Kalasinski. So what made me put Urs above Ramon? Urs lost Ramon at the Arnold this year and at the Olympia last year. One, I think he's going to be improved. I've really been taking a look at his updates and I think he just looks bigger. And he can also get into great condition like Ramon. Honestly, probably a little bit better. But honestly though, it's pretty close because they both have weight caps to make. The other major factor in this is I think Urs is more in line with a physique standard like Seba. Urs is just more like Chris. He's taller and structurally as a whole he's just closer to Chris than Ramon is closer to Chris. If Urs does pull off a victory over Ramon, I don't see it being overwhelmingly at all. I think it's going to be very close. But Urs does beat him slightly on the overall themes. And what I mean by that is I think he has a better structure, something more that the judges are looking for, and has a more polished physique as a whole, especially when it comes to presentation. And surprise, surprise, this leaves your what will be 5-time Mr. Olympia champion Chris Bumstead. I have no problem saying that he will get number 5, and if he wants to, can get probably 6, 7, 8. Honestly, I could see him go for 10. As long as he stays healthy, he's just that good. I don't think he will, just based on what he's been saying recently and all of his other business ventures, but he definitely could if he wanted to. Really, no one else is close to Chris. He will win with perfect scores for a while. Honestly, I can see him winning with perfect scores for the rest of his career as long as he remains healthy. He could probably come in up to 20% off and still win convincingly. And that's not going to happen while he's working with the greatest coach ever, Hani Rambam. At this point, this is a competition for second in this division. I hate to say that about the other competitors, but Chris is head, neck, and shoulders above everyone else. And he is first place in my predictions, and I fully believe he will make it number 5 this year in Orlando. Well, those are my predictions. I'm sure you guys will give me plenty of shit in the comments, so go ahead and leave your predictions down in the comments below so I can return the favor. If you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe as well. Keep an eye out for my open predictions video we'll be dropping in a day or two, and don't forget about my Olympia watch party live streams that I'll be hosting all Olympia weekend long. The best way to stay up to date on my videos and the best way to know when I'm going live is to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on. That's going to do it for me in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.